Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Spawn Trap's Hit Pause DCU, the only DC Universe podcast that has been waiting for a friend to kill Nazis with for 74 years, 23 days, and 52 minutes. I am Till. I'm joined by Icy Arrow,
Hey up.
and we're talking about today Creature Commandos because that is the only thing both of us have seen so far. So we have been
Uh,
doing a Marvel podcast for quite some time, and we always want to talk DC. I'm not the DC expert, and I haven't been like I didn't really watch all of the DCEU, the extended universe, the Zack Snyder verse. Um, but I've been excited since James Gunn was taking over the reins, and I've been interested in following all this stuff. So I have watched pretty much everything like DCU based, like the official start of this things. Even though the universe is very confusing to me, like the canon and everything. But the only thing I haven't watched is Peacemaker. Pretty much it.
I mean, it's hard to say no to John Cena playing Peacemaker again. I will say I totally forgot that I watched what is it? The Suicide Squad movie.
Yes, which is partially
Half
canon.
universe. Yeah. Cuz they're
It's
like
very
Peacemaker.
confusing. Yeah.
It's like
Essentially,
Peacemaker and they're like, yeah.
yeah. Essentially, it is canon. So, I've seen James Gunn be interviewed about this every time, and every time it's just more and more confusing to me. And every time I bring this up on social media, people get mad. Like, what's there to understand? Some things are canon, some things are not. I'm like, I do understand that. I just I'm not agreeing with it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think there should just be a proper reset and be like, hey, these are the things that you should see, and then these are the things that are official. Because like I feel like for normal people, they go in, they see the Suicide Squad or something that's referencing something DCEU, and then the DCU just contradicts it. They might not understand that not everything is completely canon. Actually, I should have a proper um let me pause the video here because we should have a proper um visual context rectangle is what I call it here, but I don't have it set
Uh,
up here. So while I have that set up so that we don't get claimed by Warner Brothers and HBO, um uh yeah, I don't know, how do you think about that? How do you feel about the canonness of the DCU?
here's the thing about that, right?
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of dealing with what's canon, not canon. An
Sure.
example of that is every single time DC Comics has, like, the comic
Oh
wise,
yeah,
anything good,
comics I'm very
any
familiar with.
you already
Yeah,
know at
yeah.
some point, right? Marvel has a somewhat good rule in terms of that you just can't change the past. You could add context to the past, you could
Mhm.
work between the lines, but you can't change it. DC, on the other hand, says every, I want to say 10 to 20 years, they just go, nope, that's it. Like,
Mhm.
whatever it is, we're going to blow it up and then we're going to find the pieces, re-put it back together, and then
Sure.
you have to figure out from reference and like context. I've always hated that part. But
Marvel
for a
kind of does
movie
that too.
audience,
Yeah.
yeah, they I think a couple times. But DC, it's every 5 to 10 years. They're like, got to reboot.
Mhm.
It worked one time, so that means you do it again until it doesn't work anymore.
Well, they do that
But
because it's like
it's a new
I think
starting point.
yeah, it's a new starting point. Also, because I think just writers don't want to be constrained to like past stories and stuff like that. But it makes sense for comic. I mean, doesn't make sense for comics, but it makes more sense for comics than it does for movies and TV.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I think once you start getting movies to the point of it being, how do I put this? Almost like a multiversal thing.
Mhm.
Because I'm hearing bits and pieces, right? I'm trying not to spoil myself on Peacemaker, but I'm hearing bits and pieces where people are like, oh, that's a reference to this universe. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you mean universe? Are we already doing this multiversal stuff?
That's what
We've
I've
already
heard.
seen that
Yeah.
with Marvel. I'm like, we already had this issue with Marvel. Marvel already has this thing about saying, like, all these different universes. Now they're all going to collide and all that stuff. And it's kind of cool for a one-time event, or Loki has one, but you at least know that
Yeah.
um like timeline wise you're like cool, whatever. I still know the story beats. This is just cool what ifs. But now you're saying not only is it worse than multi-timeline and multi-universal, now it's this is canon, this is not. And unless I am told beforehand or after the movie, this
Yeah.
is what's canon, this is what isn't, then it's becoming okay, cool. I get to play detective. I
Yeah.
literally work full time, and now I have to enjoy my movies by playing detective.
The simplest way I've heard James Gunn explain it so far is that here is the official starting point. And basically, you don't have to watch anything beforehand, but characters are going to reference things that happen. And when they reference things, that moment is canon in the universe. So they'll mention stuff that happened, like, for example, stuff that happened in the Suicide Squad has been mentioned several times in these projects, across like Superman, Creature Commandos, and obviously Peacemaker.
Yeah.
So uh, that movie is pretty much canon, because essentially all the events that happen in the movie have been referenced so far. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, things could change. I think the multiverse aspect in Peacemaker, and I haven't watched it yet. I've watched a few episodes of the first season, wasn't really hooking me, and then they were saying they were doing the reboot and Peacemaker wasn't part of the reboot, and I said cool, I don't want to continue watching it then they said technically season 2 is part of the reboot. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll start watching at season 2. And then he said, well, technically all of season 1 except for the last scene where you see some of the Justice League cameos are canon. And I'm like, okay, I guess I have to watch season 1 now. That's the kind of like thing that we're in here. But the way he's explained it as simply as possible is just that, yeah, just watch from here and then look out for references. That's pretty much what he
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, right, is every time, like, because I'm trying to think about this too from just an average person, because I'm trying to think of, I think a good way, actually, this could be good, is you and I are not going to be the biggest fans of this. But imagine if that, what was it, Dark Universe or whatever it was
hmm
that they tried to do with Universal Monsters.
Yeah,
Imagine that same concept to us when we don't know anything. Because I don't know much about Universal Monsters. I
yeah.
saw one movie and then I saw, what was it? The one that started off
The Mummy, I think,
the
was the first one,
mummy.
right?
Yeah. It was the mummy, and
Yeah,
then that was it.
yeah.
But it made this reference to like there's more out there. And then imagine if before they announced it, you didn't see The Invisible Man, which was a wonderful movie by itself.
Sure.
Always will recommend that movie for a thriller. It's a good modern twist on an old story. But imagine it has no connection, no reference to any other universe or anything like that. And then later on down the line, they announce it. And then you just go, this is canon. And you go,
Right.
okay, now I have to go back, or it's been spoiled because I didn't have the time and all that. And now imagine if they again then said, well, actually, this part's canon. Like,
But not the
let's just
rest of
say,
it.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, this character didn't actually die, like off
hmm
screen, or like on camera, it looks like. And it's like, don't I have a problem when you start picking and choosing what's canon and
Yeah.
what's not. Either say it's all canon or non-canon. I'm not here to sit and play detective and try to do this Five Nights at Freddy's Matt Pat theories of
hmm
like this reference from 1984 to this bite means this child was here. Like,
right.
I'm here to experience, be shocked, surprised, odd, and applauding at like this character finally getting their big scene, or that character arc finishes in
hmm
another movie.
I agree. I completely forgot though. I was trying to make a point with Peacemaker, and I completely forgot where I was going with that.
Oh,
I
my
think
bad, sorry.
no, no, no. It's my bad because I went on a different tangent. But I think the multiverse part of Peacemaker is trying to weave that transition from the Snyderverse to the DCU, or the DCEU to the DCU. Like for example, correcting that last scene cameo with the Justice League from the Snyderverse, right? Um, so I think that's just their way of explaining, like, oh, multiverses do exist, and for example, Matt Reeves' Batman, or the Batman, um, and the Penguin exists in its own universe, and this is how things kind of connect or are established now. Again, I don't know. I haven't watched Peacemaker season two. I've heard some things about season two, and it sounds interesting. So I'm definitely gonna want to watch it and get the context. But I imagine that's what they're doing, introducing multiverse into their first live action TV series set in this universe, is to try to transition that stuff to better explain to audiences why things are different.
I just I hate like I think till I've talked to you a lot about how much I hate multiverse stuff. And that is the big reason of this thing. Because Five Nights at Freddy's did that too when I was like 10 years old and that fandom was going off. Was
It's
this
crazy.
whole like I know, right? And there's now a
Yeah.
new movie and all that stuff, but this is not the podcast for it. But it's this whole like multiverse to explain because you want certain things to be canon. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
it's it's what Marvel lost me on. Cause like Loki, I was like, cool, I'm kind of interested, and they're like timeline fracture, and I'm like, timeline, okay, cool, like little things here and there. All right, it's a self-contained story, right? No, like
No,
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 and
it's
it's
not.
like, and I'm like, okay, so it's mandatory to watch the like,
Yeah, we just did a
ah,
podcast for Hit Pod's MCU, where like the last half of the podcast was just going over like what you should and should not watch before Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. And pretty much we've agreed like most of the movies you should probably watch, and only one of the TV shows you really need to watch, which is Loki. So that's the reason why.
yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know, but because I do worry too at some point where let's say we're gonna run into I'm gonna call it another Marvel issue just because Marvel's the only one to attempt such a big multiversal stuff is blah 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 character arc and then the real life actor, actress, whatever says something, does something, and
Hmm.
everyone's kind of like, no. And then it's like, okay, we'll just cherry pick around this.
Right. You're talking about like problematic actors like the actor who played Kang, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
you could
Yeah.
have that issue. Yeah, you could have that one. You could have this. And it's like, I feel like in a way, as much as it's a whole like, we can have our cake and eat it too, it makes things needlessly complicated to the point of losing audience.
Hmm.
Cause I knew like, you know, I always just wanted, even though it's Peacemaker, I keep wanting to just call him John Cena,
Yeah,
the
sure.
Invisible Man.
The John Gene Cena
The
show.
yeah, yeah, the Invisible Man of
Yeah.
DC. Um, it's just I love seeing him more things. I love the excuse to use him more and more. It's awesome that he's good friends with, James Gunn and all that stuff. But imagine too having a character who at the I just
Are you sure about that?
like but when you start getting to a point where a character arc
Yeah.
or your character's purpose isn't the actual backstory or the comics, it's you're the reason why we can do this. It almost in a way is like being a footstool to the point of something better. Like maybe,
Yeah.
John Cena knows this ahead of time and James Gunn's like, "Hey, I'm in a bit of a pickle here. I really need to explain why this doesn't happen, that happened. This is what I want to do." And John Cena goes, "Cool, awesome, love it. Let's go for it." But imagine if you're a big time actor or this is the gig that gets you to the top.
Yeah.
And then you get told later, you're the stepping stool so that I can get these characters in. That's your purpose. That's it.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty. But like, if that actor is usually, because I see this all the time. Marvel has like these smaller roles, like they make up these characters
No.
that for the MCU that just hit the character just hits on the screen, and that character has recurring roles and bigger roles down the line. So like the opposite can kind of happen, you know? Um so but no, I totally get what you're saying. I think honestly Marvel is uh going hard on the multiverse stuff for the same reasons that like they're doing this stuff for the DCU, is because they were also in a transitionary period and they also felt they needed to explain um like the transition of rights and characters that they've just acquired back, and sort of showing like the older actors who, well, not older actors but like actors that had just like come off of that like before they acquired this stuff, like Deadpool and Wolverine and the Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. And they had like the opportunity to do that because they're introducing multiverse stuff. um I feel like from conversations online and from like reviewers and stuff like that, people like you feel like it's played out and they're done with it. And I've always said from the beginning, like, listen, there's going to be a lot of this stuff, but it's going to be temporary. It's not going to be all multiverse. It's going to come to an end at some point. For Marvel specifically, it's going to happen after Secret Wars. That's pretty much the story in the comics, is everything kind of gets reset to a one standard story at that point. Um, and I know that doesn't always stay the same forever for the comics, but that's kind of the intention of like the story that they want to tell, which is very different for movies and TV. Um, like you just can't say, "Oh yeah, we're rebooting the series back to number one." That doesn't work the same as a movie series, right? So, um, there will be a reset moment, and there won't be as much multiverse stuff being brought up all the time.
I mean, that is very true.
Yeah.
I Here's the thing. I think what I really do want is, instead of being like every single thing has to be connected in terms of like, look at this great big play we're doing and such. I wouldn't mind, because I'm thinking about DC right now. So I'm trying to think of like a Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Give give the smaller characters who you're not sure if you really care about using or not. Like, kind of like, let's say Peacemaker. Before Suicide Squad and John Cena, most people, I'm willing to bet, even the bigger DC fans, some of them, you could be like, Peacemaker. And everyone just goes, who?
Yeah, exactly.
And it, yeah, why
Yeah.
not, instead of having everything connect and how Peacemaker is going to be this huge, like giving all the standard applause, which only happened because everyone loved John Cena as him in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, instead of just be like, these are in universe, right? This is universe. It's not here to play anything big. It's like the Daredevil Punisher kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, yeah, they are all happening at the same time. You don't care about a character, don't need to watch it. Like, give us
Yeah.
character, like, whether or not it plays into a bigger role, is something where it's like, I really am so excited for this character, or this character
Yeah.
sounds so boring. Oh, I missed out on it. Cool, whatever. And then it's like, like you said, maybe if it's a small reference, sure, whatever. But if we already know it's like, yeah, this is happening, but this is like the other side of the world, it doesn't matter. Because then at least
Marvel.
then some. Oh, sorry, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say Marvel has a few things like that, like it's particularly on the TV side, Moon Knight and a few other things where it's like they could just not be set in the MCU and it wouldn't matter, like they're their own separate thing. But for the most part, everything is like, oh, we need to find a way to connect it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, stop trying to. Everything doesn't have to connect, or if it
Mm-hmm.
does, just literally just say this is going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And instead of it being like, this is how it plays into that big fight at the movie, it's like, instead just be like, yeah, while this is going on, you could say like, I'm trying to think of a smaller character. Um, my brain's stuck on Marvel now because you said Marvel it's like 10
Oh,
seconds
okay.
ago.
So like a DC
No,
smaller
you're good.
character.
Yeah, like take a Swamp. Like I said, Swamp Thing. I
Yeah.
think Swamp Thing is super cool. He is one of the cool, more mystical characters and such. Or I already know they're coming back for another movie for this. A John Constantine, or someone who doesn't always play with the big heroes. It could be a street level, it could be a smaller, it could be fantastical, magical, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They could just be off in their own section of the world, and it's like, oh, why not go to New York? Big fucking alien over there. That's not
Yeah.
my problem. Like, I'm over here dealing with this, and boom, boom, boom. I watch it. Cool. If I miss it, there's a small reference. Maybe I get to see the character in the movie do something that's cool. Okay, cool. Now,
Hmm.
if a character, like from a movie standpoint, as a moviegoer, it's expensive if you want to go to movie theater for every single movie.
Yeah.
Paying all this for streaming services. Like at some point, it might become too much for an average person to keep interest and watch every single thing.
Well, I'll have two counterpoints to that. One, don't go see everything because there's the bigger stuff like the huge crossovers like the Avengers, where if you're not watching everything, you're probably gonna miss out on stuff. I think that's just unavoidable. It's like they pretty much say like, hey, this is a culmination of everything. But if you're watching standalone movies and there's something that carries over from something else, typically the writers have that in mind. The characters will mention something in a sentence and be like, "Oh yeah, this is what happened to this character before." Like it's such a throwaway thing that I think people who watch all the movies don't even think about it. And like, yeah, I saw that happen. And I think for everybody else, they're like, who are just going in watching it, they're like, cool, I got that context. I'm just thinking of examples like in Marvel where there's the movie The Marvels, which is like a continuation of three different things, but it had its own standalone story. So when the context is like, "Oh, where'd you get these powers?" The character's like, some artifact my grandmother gave me." And so like they just kind of like throw it away there, or like, "Where'd you get your powers?" Like, "Oh, a magical witch made this hex and I walked through it." And they kind of just explain it in that one sentence, right? Um, so you kind of there's sometimes that context there where you don't have to see that thing. If you just want to see that one project that's a standalone thing, you're probably going to get the context you need delivered in dialogue. But I totally get that a lot of people feel like they need to watch everything. And I don't think that's absolutely the case. But to your point, you want standalone stuff in the DCU. I mean, they've already announced that there's going to be a Clayface movie, and that's more
Which I'm
like
excited about.
a horror movie. It's like completely different from Superman, so that's gonna be pretty cool.
I mean, another
Mhm.
one that I don't have too much context for, but I will be honest, I was shaking in excitement when I heard about it, which was a um Dick Grayson and Jason Todd movie, aka Nightwing and Red Hood movie. They were going to do like a duo movie thing or
Is
show.
that different from the Batman one that they announced? Brave and
S-
Bold.
So as far as what I know is
Hmm.
that this is its own thing. This is
Okay.
a movie, but it's I don't even remember what year they said they were gonna even start on it. It was just like here's all the movies we want to work on,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it was like way down the line. So it's one of those I'm excited about it. We haven't seen Red Hood. I don't even think technically we've seen Nightwing, but we haven't seen at least for sure um any sort of Red Hood in a live action movie for sure at the very least
Yeah.
ever. So I'm excited about that. We get to see a couple first time people. But it also sounds like it might be one of those movies where it's like, oh, here's a reference to I don't know, they might do the whole like Bane breaks Batman's back again and then these two are what are picking up everything, kind of thing. Like could be that whole like, yeah, whatever, you could just see how the city reacts to no Batman for 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Batman hasn't
And
even been established. I mean, we got like one shot of Batman in Creature Commandos, I think.
yeah, he was
Which
there
we'll
for
talk
like
about in a
2
moment.
seconds.
Yeah. You want to go like through what's planned? I got the wiki up.
Oh, perfect. Let's go through it.
So we just had Superman. So this is on the film side. We just had Superman. I have watched it. Just a brief summary. I love the movie. It was great. Um, we got Supergirl coming next year. So, also next year is Clayface. So those are gonna be two very different movies. Then Man of Tomorrow for 2027. So that's going to be a follow up to Superman and I guess Peacemaker. Um, but I think mostly Superman. Um, and
Could be both.
then it could be both. I have a feeling it's going to be like the TV stuff in Marvel. It's just going to be like if you watch Superman, then you're going to be ready for Man of Tomorrow. If you watch Peacemaker, you get additional context that you don't necessarily need going into the movie. Um,
Yeah, or it might make a character death that we see, or a character choice
mhm,
that
yeah.
evolves.
I mean, there's characters in there's characters from Creature Commandos and the Suicide Squad in Superman. You do not need that context at all. You do not need to watch those things to watch Superman. You could just jump into Superman. So, um, then the other movies that are part of Chapter One, Gods and Monsters, I guess. So it's The Authority is one of them. The Brave and the Bold, which is going to be the Batman movie. Swamp Thing, and an untitled Wonder Woman movie. Um, then I guess there's other ones that have been discussed or something. There's an untitled Teen Titans movie, untitled Bane and Deathstroke movie. I'm guessing these are just rumors. And Sergeant Rock. I've never heard of that. Um,
I'm like, there's so many things going on too, though. Like, I'm also gonna look up movies timeline because I also sometimes I'm like one of those people I need to look at it to actually understand what my brain kind of
the
goes.
timeline of stuff, like when
Yeah,
stuff comes
sometimes I
out. Yeah,
see that, or like when I see the title and my brain just goes, "Oh, okay."
yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, and I think they did an announcement too at one point of movies where they announced like blah blah blah. Oh, uh,
I think James Gunn when James
okay,
Gunn
okay,
made his first official like announcement video for this stuff. I know it was during I think it was during COVID lockdown when everything was happening. Um, but it was like a quick video. It's like, hey, I'm James Gunn. I'm doing this. Uh, some things are changing. Blah blah blah. And then here's our plans. We got this, this, this. It was like very like brief and casual. And I'm like, you need to slow down and just like give us a little bit more context and details of what you're talking about. Um, but in terms of like TV shows, so we got Creature Commandos was the first thing that kicked off the DCU. Then the second season of Peacemaker, which I think just finished, and now something I'm interested in is Lanterns, which is happening early 2026. I'm interested to watch that. Then there's I guess Booster Gold, Waller, and Paradise Lost are the other ones happening in Chapter One. Uh, so I'm interested in Booster Gold because everybody doesn't shut up about how great of a character that that superhero. is. So I'm looking forward to that. No context on Paradise Lost, and then obviously Waller is Amanda Waller, and Viola
yeah.
Davis does such a good job with her that I'm interested to see that too.
Oh, okay. And I just looked at what Paradise Lost is, and it's blah blah blah. Yeah, so it's basically a series, blah blah, blah political drama about the
Cool.
power struggles on Themyscira before Wonder Woman.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
So
that now.
that sounds good. Like
Mm-hmm.
I do love too if they're willing to like look back a little bit and give us context, as long as again it doesn't become this whole cookie cutter like oh like where they messed up part way and then they kind of have to go like this doesn't count, this part counts, this part doesn't. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. I mean that's the stuff we got coming up. And then again, the only thing that we have collectively have seen together is Creature Commandos. So why don't we talk about that? What did you think of Creature Commandos?
I was so excited. Here's the thing, I hate watching things that haven't finished coming out yet.
Okay.
And Like, what I mean by that is I hate, like, having to watch week by week
Oh,
kinda
so
thing.
you
I
binge
wanna
watched it?
binge watch.
Okay.
That's what I want. This is the first show that I have watched in its completion without binge watching.
Oh wow.
That tells you how much I enjoyed this, that I can actually hold my attention to be who's normally a how much can I fit in a one weekend to um waiting week by week, getting excited, sitting down, being shocked and getting to discuss like I cannot wait for next week.
Mm-hmm.
This was so exciting. I got to discuss with a coworker about like, oh my gosh, have you seen the newest episode, blah blah. I had a lot of interesting choices about like certain character arcs. I was like, yes, this is great. Other times I'm like, you're funny. What's the point of your story arc kind of
Yeah.
thing? Like, why are you here?
Okay, I'm interested to hear like which characters there because there's a few of them that could fit that description. I feel
But I'll
like
let you go.
yeah, I like I feel like a mix of both. I like sometimes like the binge watch, sometimes I prefer the week to week because there are some shows where it's like the water cooler discussion is part of the show. Like that's what makes the show interesting and waiting that week to like build your own theories and have that discussion it is like part of the experience of the show. And if you just like release everything at once, you kind of miss out on that opportunity. It's like, what happens next? Let's find out right now, rather than like talk about it, right? Um, so I kind of get that. Like when they started with WandaVision, I very much felt like WandaVision was that because it was so like everything was wrapped in mystery. On the Marvel side, where it's just like none of this makes sense. Let's try to like theorize how it makes sense in the broader MCU and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I feel like some things are better week to week. I don't know if Creature Commandos is necessarily like that. Like I don't think I had that kind of experience like you, but I did watch week to week. And I love watching the show. I was interested in it. I had knew nothing about Creature Commandos when they announced it. But like being introduced to the characters since the first episode and seeing the quality of the animation and the story and the voice acting and everything, I was hooked right away for sure.
Oh, that animation, it was so smooth. And I will say, I went into this not knowing if I'd like it or not. I was like, okay, cool. And then I saw, I'm trying to think of that character's name. It's the older guy with the gray hair, Rick.
Rick Flag? Yeah.
Like, yeah, I want to say Rick Flair, but that's the wrestler.
No, the Flag. So
Um,
he's the father of
yeah,
the other Flag from the Suicide Squad.
yeah. So at the
Hmm.
time when I started watching it, I thought, oh, okay. And I was heard new universe and things, and I was like Peacemaker, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the same world as Peacemaker, which means then the Suicide Squad movie's canon. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, and I was like, that's cool, blah blah blah, and then I saw it was older Rick, and I was like, oh, so it is canon fully for sure. It's not the kid or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm spending all this like extra time being like, okay, cool. And I'm like, Peacemaker is probably off doing God knows what at this point because
Yeah.
we had no context. Animation was cool. Absolutely love it. Voice acting was cool. I definitely had moments where I was laughing, like, and it wasn't just an exhale through my nose being like,
Hmm.
that's kind of funny. I was actually like laughing at some of the jokes they were making.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, let's. I'm gonna bring up the characters. I don't know if you knew all of the characters going into it. Um, but we got the bride, which is Frankenstein's bride. Um, and we got GI Robot and Weasel, Doctor Phosphorus. Uh, we got Nina Mazursky, who is the like the fish like character. Eric Frankenstein, and Rick Flag Sr. Those are the main characters in the show. Um, what'd you think of all the characters?
So I didn't know very many of them. Like I've heard in context some of them. Like The Bride. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that's a thing." Like and I'm like pretty sure I'm like I remember hearing about that. I'm pretty sure, like I don't really know too much of her character, but from what I do know, like that's really cool that they're adding that like little side to it. Obviously, I know Amanda Waller. I think it's kind of hard to not know her.
Yeah.
Um Dr. Phosphorus, I knew because he was in I think it was Batman Beyond, where he also does make that meme that you probably do recognize still of the whole, you killed that person. Do you know how little that narrows it down? And it's like him going like a shrug kind of thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that meme. And it was so funny that I knew it right away. And the person I was watching with didn't get the context of that joke until
Mm.
suddenly it clicked halfway and they went, "Oh my god, I do know this person." Like
Yeah.
there's joy in terms of like understanding like we have seen some of them. I mean, Flack, I mean, yeah,
Flag.
I do bits flag. I'm trying not to say flare. That's my big goal right now. I've seen that one. GI Robot I have not heard of. Weasel I heard in context as like a
Yeah.
weird side character of some other adventure.
He's also
Yeah,
in
GI
the
Robot I never
Suicide Squad.
You're right.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest part of that entire movie. I even after I finished watching it, I
Yeah.
went back to play that part again.
Wait, what part? Where he was drowning or?
No, not the part where he's driving. That part's not funny. It's in the Suicide Squad movie where I think it's Pete Davidson. Is that a dog?
Oh yeah. And
And
they
it's
thought
just
it
like,
was a
what?
werewolf.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
werewolf, man. It goes, oh, what do you mean a werewolf? That looks like
Yeah.
a dog. like that part. I think, in my opinion, for that movie, funniest clip ever of that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like a lot of these characters, I had a weird like passing interest. Like I did not have any interest in Weasel. Dr. Phosphorus, I'm like cool Batman villain, lesser known one. The Bride, I'm pretty sure I could figure out her character arc just because it's the Bride of Frankenstein.
Sure. Yeah. Um,
Um,
GI Robot
yeah,
was my favorite. Love it
GI
anytime.
Robot. I I went through an emotional roller coaster with GI Robot.
Yeah, anytime he was on the scene and talking, I thought it was hilarious. I love the whole story of him. He's just obsessed with killing Nazis. That's just his whole life. And
Yeah,
then um, he loses all of his friends from the war. He's separated from them. And you have like that sad story. But it's really centered around just killing Nazis. That's when he's the happiest.
I also just love like he shows his affection for someone through like, do you want to kill Nazis together?
Yeah.
Like that's a big ask. That means he is trusting you to go down in the trenches to
Yeah.
like do something that he absolutely loves to do.
um,
Uh,
what'd you think of David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein?
he's the character where honestly I was like funny. Yes, he
Hmm.
made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, same.
If you took him out of the story, I don't know if it would have made too big of a difference in my mind. He didn't feel integral.
Same.
Like he's integral because he's part of the bride's story,
Sure,
but
yeah.
that's it. If you took him out and you could have just left like with the bride telling the backstory of it or that this history and like could have set him up for something like maybe more of the main focus of a future arc. Yeah, okay, like I would understand that, but in this one, I'm just kind of like, okay, you're funny. I like how you interact with characters. I don't know why you're here outside of the bride. You have no story point.
I agree with that. I did like David Harbour's portrayal of the character. I also felt like it wasn't that crucial to the story, but he was a funny character, and didn't really add a whole lot to like progress the story. But his standalone like backstory and everything in context of the bride and their history, I thought was interesting, especially because I am a fan of the actual Frankenstein story. So to see like that in a animation based on a comic book based on that story was really cool to see. Um, so yeah, I felt like uh he did a really good job with that role. I felt like sometimes the lines were like they're just like forcing the humor on a little bit, but
Ye-
he
yeah,
he
almost
did,
felt like he was a little too dumb.
yeah, which I guess is kind of the point of Frankenstein, but uh yeah, I feel like he did best with the writing that was given to him. Um,
Yeah.
the bride was a cool character. I wasn't expecting her to be like as badass as she was and everything. Um, I didn't really think of Nina Mazursky when they like introduced the character, but like seeing her backstory and everything, I thought she was a super interesting character by the end of it. Um,
I'm I'm trying to remember everything about her because
yeah.
I will say out of the entire cast and I'm not gonna count Frankenstein in this, but in terms of like the squad, she was the one that I was very interested in learning the backstory of. But
Hmm.
every time I felt like she was about to be given the spotlight, it went to someone else.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah, they had one, which I think was the finale. They had the one episode that was centered around her, and it's just like a really sad backstory where she's just born with a defect that um basically her lungs were outside of her body, and um the mother was like so distraught and thinking like this is not like this is someone that um we shouldn't be burdened with taking care of for the rest of her life. She's going to be struggling. It's more humane to just let her die pretty much. But the father was convinced like no, she can have a normal life, and he did everything he could to try to give her that. It turned her into a creature that um was looked at as even more of a freak for like less of a better term. So she's just always been outcast for something that she was born with, and just like the way she was like captured by like police and local people thinking that she's a monster, and um then like put in prison and everything, seeing her father die right in front of her trying to save her. um well, it's probably one of the sadder stories of this whole bunch.
It's definitely a sad one. I just how do I say this? Because if we went by because they all have, the whole point of each backstory is to show how even though they're quote unquote monsters,
Hmm.
most of them are not monsters by choice.
Right.
Like Weasel, I don't think we actually know where he's born from. He's
Mm-hmm.
just Weasel, but
Mm-hmm.
he has that super sad moment about his
Probably the
backstory isn't
saddest
just
one.
his.
Yeah.
Oh, breaks my heart,
Yeah.
and it is not like a lot of the stories are like this is how they were born or raised or like that or what made them into who they are kind of thing when they show all these things and how they're broken and how they have encouraged now their own image of monster not because they chose to but that's what was deemed upon them. Nina was the only one that I felt like there has to be in a world of gods and men and monsters. You are the most I don't I kind of hate saying this, boring and plain in the way. of where I could see her having a career as a biologist. Go live in the water. You could go
Hmm.
deep underwater. You can breathe. Like, you are the only one that I can still see to this day being like, you could be in, like, yeah, you'll deal with the problems. Yes, you'll be an outcast, but there will be those who are like, nah, look what have you done? Look how you can do these things. You're special and unique. Like, it doesn't quite feels like it fits.
I can understand that in the broader context of the DC. Sure.
Because
Um,
if you want us to connect it as part
mhm.
of the universe, then you got to
Yeah.
take into context everything. You have Peacemaker, who, although can't be on Suicide Squad, is straight up just a human who's a monster. Like, go by the actions we've seen before. Like,
Yeah.
in his own way, he's a monster. He technically, if he wasn't human, he belongs there more than Nina does.
Yeah. I think they established in Superman, like right at the beginning of Superman, that it's been 3 decades since like Earth has known the existence of aliens and like other creatures and stuff like that. So yeah, she like all these other characters in the DCU would exist before she was born. So um yeah, I can see that. Um what do you think of the main villain of like the overarching story of this I can't remember where it was set, but they always have to
Oh,
go
it's
back
where.
there.
Oh, God. Oh, I know too. I was looking at the trailer too, and I'm
Yeah.
watching it, and I'm like, where the fuck? It's like, it's almost where Count Vertigo's from, and I can't even think of it. Like Themis. No, it's like I don't know. I can't think of it. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna think of Marvel probably. Anyways, that whole you know, almost weird backwater country is I don't know. The location's cool and such, and I'm trying to even remember the plot twists and such, and I'm kind of remembering it piece by piece the more we think about it because it's been a while. Cool. Like, I understand that that's your great big plan is to start war
Mm.
because you believe you could win. I can't even fully remember
Kolistan is where it
what
was.
it was. I can't even
um
remember what was her goal again. It was to start a war, right? Because it was to make her. Oh God, it's
yeah,
been a while.
if I look at the last episode, I could probably look at the summary. Um but yeah, they pretty much wanted to like start a war and like rule over uh people, or I can't remember if it was the world or the US or um but let's see the summary of the last episode. Flashbacks, Nina. Okay, that's the stuff about Nina. um Waller learns of Clayface's deception, orders task force M to stand down. Alana ends hostilities with, okay, it doesn't really say.
I
um
have a really quick breakdown.
mhm.
Um, okay, here we go. Her plan: gain protection, aka thinking like her life is, in danger.
Yeah,
Um, wants to eliminate her
enemies.
whatever, Cersei.
Yeah.
Yeah, her enemy Cersei. Blah blah. That's why she's Clayface. Da 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 da
The
da.
the character that she was like partnered with in that vision, that wasn't Gorilla Grodd, right? That was some other character.
Yeah, it was a different character.
Yeah.
It looks like her plan was to use the Creature Commandos to eliminate Cersei and suppress the prophecy of her world domination, allowing her to advance her own plans. So sounds like she wanted Cersei, who had a thing that was like, because of this, I'm going to win
Mhm.
and take over. And Cersei was like, or not Cersei, whatever, the queen, princess.
Yeah, yeah, princess, yeah.
Yeah, it was just going to be like, but if I ruin yours, then the prophecy can be mine and I can take over the world. I'm just kind of like, okay.
Got it.
Your yours is like background.
um yeah, I didn't really think too much of it. I don't think it was a very strong villain. Um, I think like the individual episodes, I guess, and focusing on each character's backstories is more interesting than the overall plot and um like setting and the villain and everything. So that's probably it's like its weakest point, I would say, is the villain of this story. Um, which like there's no like heroes in this series. It's all anti-heroes and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Uh, yeah, I'm also making sure I read that right. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just okay. It's the same thing. I don't know. It was one of those things where, like you said, it really didn't matter about the whole main villain. It's the point of it was just like, here's the characters.
Mhm.
Here is like the people are the storytelling. The quote unquote main arc is the background.
Yeah. And also them like becoming a team. Like by the end of it, they all feel like they have each other's backs and stuff.
Yeah. So
Um.
I do feel
Mhm.
like this was just kind of more of a whatever in terms of main arc, and
Mhm.
it's mostly just like, hey, look at these cool characters. You all never heard of them. You think they're
Mhm.
cool, and you're gonna assume they're bad people because one, they're in Suicide Squad, which means usually you're a bad person,
Yeah.
and two, they look like monsters.
Mhm.
And you see people like the bride, who, if I remember correctly, it is like the first episode we see her in. She murders someone, and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're a villain.
Pretty
And then
much.
you go through it. Yeah. Then you go through it and then you find out, oh, wait, okay, they're bad people, but
Yeah.
they weren't born bad. It was just, people
Yeah.
being people for the most part.
Uh, what'd you think of the music in this series?
I don't remember it. Is
So
that
it was kind of like I think it was like a kind of like a Russian ska kind of thing. But let's see here.
Oh, you're right. I did have certain songs
Yeah,
that
it's
I
like
really enjoyed.
Ukrainian. It felt like kind of like yeah, punk rock ska music. Um, so like the main featured band is I never like looked up how to pronounce this, but like Gogol Bardello. Um, the music sounded familiar to me from the beginning of the series. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like the vibe. Like where this series is going. Then the song, which I think was in the second episode, the song "Start Wearing Purple" started playing. I used to listen to that song all the time when I was younger. I'm like, no way they're putting this song in this show. And I feel like it's a very, I think my cousin introduced me to that song. It's a very obscure song, which I'm like realizing now after watching the show because like I'm looking like online talk and like reviews and stuff, and people just talking about like, yeah, it's weird music. Like, where did this come from? Like, who like where'd they find this band and everything? And I'm like, oh, nobody knows about this. I didn't realize. I'm like,
Oh,
nobody knows about this music. It's weird that like I was so into like this obscure song from so long ago, and people are thinking like, oh yeah, it's like this brand new indie band or something. I'm like, no, it's like they've been around. So it's
I
a weird experience.
I remember what like listening to it
Yeah,
at some point and being like, this is really cool. Like I do enjoy it. And
yeah,
the person I was watching with, I think it's called Shazam or whatever, when you can like put the
yeah.
sound
To
like,
detect this
yeah.
song, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's how we found context for it. And we're like, oh, okay, what kind of band is it? And I was like, oh, like, clearly not a new band because we're looking at like the
mm-hmm.
history and such. And we're like,
Yeah,
okay, so and we're like, oh, so James Gunn just decided that this cool little like more indie style band was like his, probably his taste for it, and said this would be great. And I'm like, honestly, this was like it's quote unquote a deep cut, but it's an amazing one.
yeah. And I think he put them in the show. Like I think they were animated at some point in an episode.
I think yeah, they're like
Yeah.
in the background or say something. Yeah. Which good on them though. Imagine making this music however long ago.
Oh
And
yeah,
all
and
these
they're
years
just
later.
getting the attention now because of the show.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Um, one thing I wanted to bring up is Rick Flag Sr. has the gray hair, like noticeably gray
Mhm.
hair in the show. Um, but we see him in Superman, and he very clearly does not. So, uh, I think the official reason is because of like timing after like COVID, writer strike, and all that stuff. Um, the actor was tied to like another thing, sort of like the Henry
Okay.
Cavill mustache situation. So he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I couldn't dye my hair. He's like, but like the actor in an interview, he's like, I swear, the next thing I'm in, I'm gonna have gray hair. So
That's funny. I
I
mean,
think canonically he just dyed it when Superman happened.
yeah, it could be just one of those
Yeah,
things like, you could even make a joke to it later. It goes like, like,
mm,
oh, this is a horrible idea. Yeah, like when you thought you should dye your hair black.
yeah,
Like, and he'd be like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And then everyone just kind of goes, okay, I get it.
yeah.
I mean, it's just what happens. It sucks kind of thing. Like you're
Mhm.
contractually obligated to have this hair. For doing something as huge as DC and with something as big as COVID happening, it's impossible to plan for all that.
Yeah. Uh, Now where are we going to see these characters next? There is a season 2, I think, confirmed, but James Gunn is
Oh yeah.
not writing it, so there's going to
And
be
who knows how far later.
yeah. I think his like his philosophy on this isn't like Marvel, like we need to make these in a specific amount of time, like we need to pump them out as quickly as possible, and who cares if it's not finished, like the CG is not good, just get it done by this time. Whereas James Gunn is just like, here's the plan, here's what we know we want to do, and so we're going to work on this, and the other stuff we're not even going to like touch it until we have like a solid like idea formed and we can start working on it and confirm it. So like even like the teases, like the end movie teases, he's like, yeah, unless we're like confident we're going to be doing that like soon, there's no reason to tease something that we're going to change our mind on later down the road, or it doesn't
Which
get
thank
yeah.
you. Oh god, I hate when you set up something and then we never get context for it again. Whether it's a good movie or bad movie, I always say just don't set something up.
Yeah.
Like you could always go if you want to throughout a movie leave a possible loose end. I'm not saying you have to like full blown like clearly be like look at this big hole, the story's not over.
Marvel has
Just be like
so many loose ends. Like it's crazy. So yeah,
yeah.
I think James Gunn does not want to do that. He wants to be like, no, we're this is definitely coming out, so we're going to tease it for sure. Otherwise, the end the end credit scene stuff, we're just gonna keep fun. Like the Superman stuff was just like you don't need to say after the credits, but if you want that little extra fun ending, then it's there in the movie.
Yeah. Also, just for you on that one, there's a promotional art, like or concept art of everyone. Some people look really cool. Um, but the I do hate that whole like I hate that whole like, oh, look at that, someone's alive kind of thing. Da 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 da. And then it's like, okay, cool. It's been 10 years now. Huh?
Are you looking forward to a season 2?
I am. I have never felt more like excited to see some weird spin-off of characters. I am curious if it's going to be a direct sequel because then they have to go all the way back and be like, okay, we're going to have to tread kind of carefully because these events have to happen. Or is it going to be like this much time has passed and because of whatever reason the gang is getting back together and then it's like here's everything they did between the first season and now as we go through this new story of recollecting everyone.
I think it will be they kind of teased a bit of the team at the end, which was most of the same squad. GI Robot they rebuilt or something.
Yeah, he's
I
like a
think
big tank now.
yeah, it's got a new body and everything. Um, yeah, so but I imagine there's gonna be like more characters added, and I'm gonna guess some time has passed because we're gonna have Superman and the like side stories of Superman and Peacemaker and all that stuff happen in between that time. So it's probably going to be like they've spent time as a team enough where they're more familiar with each other. They've been on several missions so far, and it's going to be set in wherever the DC world is at the time that the show comes out, is my guess.
I mean, I agree. It has to be like, yeah, because if you start doing this time stuff of like, oh, but this one already happened, you
Hmm.
can get that feeling of either, okay, so I kind of don't have a reason to watch it unless I care about the characters.
Right.
And then you, again, yeah, like I said, you have to play this game of like, okay, what events are going to happen? Okay, so we know, the Superman movie has to happen, like after this, or the Batman movie comes up soon. You're like, okay, so you have that one over there, and it's like, now we just got to play this game of like, we have to line everything up so that it's its own story without interfering in someone else's story. And that's just no.
I just bring up Batman because I don't think Batman is happening soon. Because
Uh,
James Gunn keeps talking about how he can't figure out Batman.
Yeah, it looks like there's not even an announcement in terms of like when it's coming out. It's
Yeah.
just that apparently they have a director, it looks like right now, and the producers, and that's all they've announced about it.
Here's my thing. Don't make the Batman an Elseworld story. Just put that in the DCU. What's the problem there?
I would love that. I actually really enjoy. I'm trying to think of the name. I just think
It's the
of
same
Mark
thing I
Ruffalo.
felt
That's
with
what I.
like Christian Bale's Batman. They're like, "Oh no, we're gonna make uh what's his name uh in the Justice League movie Ben Affleck. We're gonna make Ben Affleck
Oh
Batman."
yeah.
It's like, but you have Christian Bale. What what's wrong with having his story part of the DCU? Um, but
I mean,
yeah,
well, here's the thing, right? You also have there I do know one of the reasons why they're probably struggling is that we're at a point in time in the universe. Superman is long developed. So now they have to pick right now. It has to be an older Batman. That's for sure something that has to
okay.
happen
Are
because
Batman in the comics, Batman, Superman around the same age?
roughly, but they
Okay,
both can age incredibly different. But they're normally in most timelines, they are roughly the same age, give or take a few years between them.
okay.
The thing is that because there is no date for Batman, which means at this point we're already gonna have Superman come out
It's just
and
because
Man of Tomorrow.
they don't have a story or a solid plan. That's why. Because James Gunn is
Yeah,
like, how do I do Batman? It's like you have somebody who's figured out Batman. You have a great Batman movie, and nothing conflicts so far with the DCU. It's a brand new universe. It could easily be woven in there. So I'm like,
okay.
and it's a younger Batman that like kind of like lines up with Superman. Like I feel like
I actually don't. How old is Superman in that movie?
he's I don't they're portraying they're portraying him pretty young. I think the actor is pretty young too.
Let's focus on a younger version. Blah
Yeah,
blah blah blah. Blah.
because that's
Comic
why
book.
James Gunn didn't want to go with Henry Cavill. He's like, I want a younger Superman, like the start of
Yeah.
this universe.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I'm not seeing anything in terms of like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. So it's a newer Superman. Okay. If you want to do a newer Batman, I just don't want it to turn. Okay. So as someone who loves the comics of these guys, right? If you want to do a newer Batman, that's fine. But please, for the love of God, don't do the thing where it's going to be this gravelly, always like Batman and Superman can never see eye to eye thing. When if anyone who's a comic fan of both, those two are best friends. Like, yes, they have their grievances. Yes, there
They
are
start off
like
that way, or
they start off at a whole "I respect you, you respect me" thing.
right?
This whole Spider-Man, sorry,
Superman
this
versus
whole Superman Batman thing
yeah,
was more of just like they had to make it comic events in terms of it because it couldn't make sense otherwise because they always got along. They always respected each other, and it doesn't take long for them to become good friends. The Justice League, I think it's Unlimited is what it's called, something like that, where you get to see the animated series Batman, the older one, and the animated series Superman come together. And at first, even then, they're like, I respect you. Your plans are cool. I don't agree with them though. Whatever. Like, I'll help you when needed. You help me when needed. Outside of that, stay out of my business. I stay out of yours. And then they learn to work together to become good friends. And then like they become the best friends ever. And comic book wise, they are inseparable as friends. So I get kind of tired when it goes, okay, we need a movie. Well, what if they
Mhm.
hate each other? Eh, like,
Yeah.
just because then you make, I don't know. I hated Superman versus Batman. That movie was just, ugh.
Well, I think I don't know because if we're talking about um Robert Pattinson and the Batman, if we're talking about like why not him, um his character was kind of emo. So I don't know.
Oh,
I could see that
100% emo.
I could see that happening if they try to introduce that character.
Uh, Yeah, so it's like the thing is is that James Gunn is taking
Mhm.
inspiration from comics. The
Yeah.
thing is that comic version Batman and movie version Batman are always wildly different. Where comic book Batman, there's a bunch of different things you can do. There's so many different versions and such you can take inspiration from. But if you're going with All Star Superman, which I hope they don't do All Star Batman, that one's uncomfortably bad because it's just a product of the time. Um, it's that if they're doing this wider universe, they clearly want a like Red Hood and Nightwing thing. Unless you're setting those two
Oh,
characters up that far in advance,
right.
Batman has to be older. If he's
Gotcha.
going to be older, then he has to be best friends with Superman. Or else imagine Superman and Batman been working years together. The Justice League exists and they still hate each other. It's like why work together then at that point?
So in the again, they set up the world in summaries at the beginning of Superman. So Superman has been active for 3 years. Um, so that's where Superman's at in the DCU. Um, and there isn't a Justice League. There's a different name. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but the Batman's not in it. Um,
yeah.
so it's interesting, like that kind of context. It's like, sure, yeah, they're going to be introducing these other members of the Bat family, so Batman should be older. But it's not really implied in the Superman movie that they know each other. They could. It's been 3 years, but um, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's what happened. But we know
Yeah,
from Creature
and
Commandos that Batman exists. He's been
Batman,
active in doing stuff.
yeah, but
Mhm.
if we and then see, I don't know the timeline of when Creature Commandos happens. Does it happen before Superman or after
I
or
think it
during?
happens before Superman,
Okay. So if it happens before,
hmm
let's say it's 2 years,
which I
right?
think
That
if it
means Superman
happens
was
I think if it happens before Superman, I got to rewatch the Suicide Squad. But I think they mentioned Superman in that movie. So I'm trying to think, like, is that part of the Suicide Squad not canon where they mention
See,
stuff
now we're
about
running back.
Superman? Yeah, I gotta
We're
rewatch the
back.
movie and see. Yeah.
Yeah, see, now we're back to this issue where I said we're
hmm
playing detective now. Because
hmm
if Creature Command like, because I'm going to pretend like the Suicide Squad movie. Oh, I can't because Peacemaker. But we know Batman is active.
They
I'm trying to
it
remember if Suicide
so the Suicide Squad movie not canon. Things they mention from the movie in future stuff
is
is
canon.
canon.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about it, don't think of the movie. Just think about moments that the characters mention.
Yeah.
in the future
So
stuff, which is still
going by this
confusing, and I
context,
disagree with it, but that's the way
I
that
do
they
too.
intend. Yeah.
I agree too. So, but because of this, right? Let's just like kind of do the I don't even know what you want to call it. But anyways, we know then if Creature Commandos has to happen before Superman,
Mm-hmm.
Batman did not look like he was brand new at this. And
Mm-hmm.
if you look at earlier versions of it, he was a lot more brutal and things like that. He did not do that for this when he was catching some of these villains. He
Yeah.
caught him, did the job, professional. He's been doing it for a while, at
Gotcha.
least a
Okay.
few years.
Yeah.
So, going by this context, he has to be in the business for, I'm going to say, let's just be nice and say 3 years and say Creature
Okay.
Commandos was a year before Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So that means then he could be 3 years done. It could be the same timeline, or he'd be like 2 years older, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So at some point, either way, Superman has to at least know that Batman exists.
Sure. I would agree with
I
that. Yeah.
So if we go by this time going that, we then will have to play this game of what year do they want um Batman picking up a Robin. We didn't see a context to Robin. We haven't, at least in terms of what I've seen, there's no context to a Robin. There's no joke about a Robin. There's nothing close to that.
Who's the Robin that they confirmed for Brave and Bold? Because I think they said that there was going to be a
I
Robin, right?
I think if I remember correctly, it includes Batman Furry. Oh, it has his son, Damien, which is the
Damien. Yeah. Right. Right.
newest Robin.
Which means that the other ones
So
have been around for a bit. So yeah. So
which
he's an
at this
older
point,
Batman.
he has to be old.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has to be like in his mid to late 30s
Yeah. I'd say so.
because he starts being Batman in like his mid 20s. And let's say he picks up a Robin like 2 to 3 years later, kind of thing. At that point, then it has to be about 10 years. So that would make the Robins about 20 ish. So he has to be like 30. So he is long into this game
Sure. Yeah.
by the time. So now you have that we do know at least if we're doing this whole custom, you know, fucking Doctor Who style of time travel BS of you have to pick an older Batman. You have to pick someone who's at the right age of being built and such, but can still show off a tiny bit of that age. He's not slowing down. He's not getting near retirement. He's still got plenty of time, but he is has that enough of being a dad. He has that dad energy still.
Let's see. Yeah, the film explores members of the Bat family, including introducing Bruce Wayne's son, Damian Wayne, as a version of Robin. Gunn said the film would be a strange father and son story about Batman and Robin. Um, I have a post from Games Radar from September 21st, so fairly recently, on an update for this. James Gunn addresses Batman casting for The Brave and the Bold. Do I have ideas about actors who could play Batman? Absolutely, I do. Um, and he said, uh, I have guys I like. I have guys that are top of the list for me, just like I had people that were at the top of the list for Superman. Um, uh, they said one actor in particular, a pretty big star, wants to be Batman. We've talked about it, but I don't think that's the case. I think that's in reference to, I can't remember his name. There's one actor who's like, I'll do anything to be Batman. I'll work for free. Because he's
I
pretty much
think
wanted
that's
to
the
be.
guy who I think it's the guy I
Yeah.
want to be Batman. It's the guy from Jack Reacher.
Yes. Um.
I think he would be an excellent like older. He has the
Yeah.
built. He has like that dad bod of like clearly worked his whole life
It's
kind of thing.
Alan something, right?
Yeah.
Um. So I think James Gunn was interviewed saying like, he's like, yeah, I really like him. I think he's a great actor. He's like, I don't think we're gonna go with him for Batman, but I think that he may want him for a different role in the DCU, but so I think James Gunn has a certain vision in mind for Batman, but it also sounds like he doesn't. So like I don't know, maybe be open.
Yeah, it might be one of those
Yeah,
things where he's trying too hard to find the perfect person in his head when that person you might as well just start
Alan
going through
Richson. There
people's
you go.
houses. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Cuz I think he does great. I don't know how old he is. So I don't know how I think he could pull off being an older like established Batman. He has the build for it. Cuz you
wait,
need the triangle build.
sure, yeah. um, what do you think of Jason Momoa as who did he get cast as? I always forget the
Oh,
name.
Manta Ray or no, hold on.
No, is I think
Right?
it's a villain.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. It's the guy with the helmet, right? From Aquaman's villain.
No, see, let's see here. Lobo.
Oh, that's right, Lobo.
Yeah.
That's right. Perfect. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't pick him for Lobo first
Well, it
time
sounds like
around.
he's always wanted to be Lobo, and it's tried to like get into one of these DC movies as Lobo, but then he got cast as Aquaman instead. And so then when James Gunn took over, like I think they had just filmed an Aquaman movie, so like Aquaman 2 was still like in production, and they were going to like just finish that up. But like James Gunn met with Jason Momoa, and he's like, "Hey, we're not doing Aquaman anymore, but you want to be Lobo." And then
Yeah.
he had like that video where he like walked out of the meeting and he's just so happy.
I mean, it's one of those things where um how do I put this? Um it's a character that fits him. Like he has the
Hmm.
look, he has the attitude. If you do you how much do you know about Lobo?
I know nothing.
Okay. So do you know how the way um that Aquaman was for Justice League movie?
Uh, sure, yeah, yeah. In Joss Whedon's
You,
Justice League movie or Zack Snyder's
yeah.
Justice League movie?
God, it could go either way on that one.
Okay, 'cause
Uh
I only watched Joss Whedon's. So
but the attitude,
yeah,
yeah.
my
You got the
man.
attitude and all that stuff. Yeah. That's
Sure,
him that's basically a carbon copy of Lobo in a way.
gotcha,
It's
gotcha.
this whole like drifter coming through. I got a job. I'm going to do the job. I'm a man of my word no matter what it is.
What does he
But
do?
Lobo, he is a intergalactic bounty hunter,
Okay,
and he has a sick ass motorcycle that can go through space. And what's the joke again? I don't know if it's canon anymore, which is why I'm okay with telling you this because I think they decanonized it. The only thing that can kill Lobo is another of his own race. So that's why he just killed everyone of his own planet. So he could be the one and
the
only,
one,
the
yeah,
man. Yeah, the man. Because he even has the thing about going like, my man, like.
yeah.
So it's a, I think it's a perfect. Everyone wanted him as Lobo, anyways, and then they said Aquaman. And everyone goes, huh?
Right.
Like,
The complete opposite of what Aquaman is typically portrayed as.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a there's a lot of different like ideas for yeah, there's a lot of different ways of describing Aquaman and such. There's one character I would love. I know it's not going to exist, but if you ever get into Young Justice, it
Yeah.
has. Long story short, there's a character named Aqualad who
I've
is
heard
in
of him.
line
Yeah.
to basically grow up to become Aquaman. In like, he's supposed to take over a long time in the future.
Okay.
I would love to see some love and add possibly a bit more like from the little I've seen, just a bit more diversity in that. But also, I think you can give it you need like a fresh slate because you have Aquaman, who to this day everyone makes fun of.
Right.
Everyone to
Yeah.
this day makes fun of Aquaman. And then you tried to make him cool with Jason Momoa. And then you basically just made a carbon copy of Lobo. You made this now everyone's got a bad taste in the mouth. Also, he had that weird connection with another actress whose name I can't think of right now, the Johnny
Yeah.
Depp case thing. So already now people are going to be like a little bit bad taste in their mouth from Aquaman. I think you should just take a brand new direction, make Aqualad Aquaman, and cast a, I think I'm just gonna say African American who has his own unique abilities and such, and his own way of why he believes being a king is so important. And I think
It
that would
yeah.
be cool.
Is the race going to matter for, because I have no context for um Aquaman comics. But like for um what's his name? Namor, used to be Namor from Marvel.
Yes,
They introduced
that's
him in
right.
Black Panther, and I think to differentiate the character, change his origin, change like the story and everything, because like Aquaman had already been released by that point. Like we can't make another Aquaman like character. But they made his first of all, they cast a Mayan actor, and made the character backstory kind of fit around this actor, who did an amazing job with Namor, and it fit the story of Black Panther and everything perfectly. So that's like one time, like, yeah, uh, Namor doesn't have to be just like this white guy with pointy ears and wings on his ankles from the comics. He can be anybody, and this fits the character so much more in the context of the MCU. So like I don't know if Aquaman's kind of the same situation.
Well, the thing is we if people in the fandom,
Hmm.
right? I'm willing to bet like current Aquaman is cool. There are some cool moments of modern Aquaman. There's a version where he had his hand cut off and he got it replaced with a hook,
Oh, it's
and
like pirate Aquaman.
kind of yeah, and that was
Yeah.
cool too. And he got the long flowing hair and all that stuff, like bright gold and such. But a lot of people will always refer back to the really old Aquaman animations where it's clearly he's just there. So a lot of people still made those jokes up until Jason Momoa's movie. And
Yeah.
it's like 40 to 50 years of that joke. And then the big thing is Aqualad, who at the time was just, another Robin like character. It's a white kid who's
Hmm.
small, who can swim really good and has like partial powers. Um, the reason why I'm also really interested in the idea of it is in a modern representation, which I think the writers and the artists did a good job on this, is there was a double twist. First, you see Aqualad and you go, oh, a brand new design. He's now African American
Hmm.
and he's dealing with what Jason Momoa deals with in the movies, which is he's a half and half.
Okay.
So there's a lot of
He's
problems with
mixed
that.
race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he's mixed race, so he has problems with that. Then you find out he's a half and half in terms of not just race, but he's half, Atlantean and half
Oh, gotcha.
Landwalker. That's what I'm meaning. Is he starts to do that. So it's like, okay, cool, because the content can be black shit doesn't matter. Some people were
Hmm.
still upset about it, blah blah blah. Then the big twist was that he was gay. And that was like the struggles of what it's like to be gay and coming out with that, but also dealing with being a superhero, finding out you're Atlantean and balancing
Hmm.
all these things. So I would love the idea of why not, instead of trying this whole let's wash our mouth of Aquaman and go with the same kind of thing of a standard white dude who may or may not be buff, who wears bright orange and green pants that everyone still makes fun of. Why not add in something from the modern times that update it?
Sure, why not?
And I think that would be good. It also, again, as far as I know, to like I've seen clips, I've seen screenshots, I've seen things like that. I don't think they have as much like, you know, maybe diversity kind of thing. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Again, I have no context for it. So I'm like adding in something there. It makes him a bit of his own thing. You have a lot of character development with that one. You can make it a newer or like a newer Aquaman, like previously Aqualad, but now I'm king and I'm struggling to find out how do I rule a kingdom kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
then yeah.
I don't know. Any other thoughts on Creature Commandos, DCU in general? I don't know about news. I haven't really been keeping up that much, and the stuff that I have posted is just like greater context things. I don't know if that's a big discussion. But
I
any other
mean, well,
thoughts?
hey, I'm just excited to see get I really hope this goes good. I'm as you know, I'm a huge DC fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so ready for DC to have their time in the spotlight. I actually thought picking James Gunn as the brain behind it all was originally I was like really worried kind of thing. Like, clearly you should have the brains behind it. I didn't have much context for James Gunn outside of just Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
at the time. And then I learned more and more like Scooby Doo and such. And I go, you know what? Okay, maybe he can handle it.
I haven't
Like,
watched that movie in forever. But yeah.
oh, it is. It's pretty good. But no, I'm excited. I really want to see more from this. Do hope I do hope they figure out the writing and such for characters like Batman. I don't want to be where they have to do more cookie cutting because they're writing so much of it that all of these issues that should be
Mm-hmm.
fixed are slipping through the cracks kind of thing, and then I hope they're learning to pace it.
Yeah.
Like start with a run, yeah, and you did a great job with the Suicide Squad monsters or Creature Commandos. That's right,
Creature Commandos. Yeah.
Creature. Yeah, Creature to Commandos. You have Superman, which did fantastic. Like you are clearly already in the running step. You already have a movie or two coming out. You have a few side projects that could be the filler
He
in
didn't want to
terms of
write
like,
Superman. Let's remember that too.
yeah. And even though he didn't want to write it, he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope they don't start tripping over themselves because they keep thinking they have to keep this running pace. Because
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's nothing that really screams that that's gonna happen so far. But I'm looking forward to Lanterns. That's like the soonest thing that's coming out like TV wise, and
yeah,
mostly because I don't really know much about Green Lantern, and so that sounds like it might be like a fun introduction to that side of the world. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, I'm just here for the ride. Just
yeah. I mean,
here to be
oh, sorry,
introduced
go
about
for it.
all these stories and characters for sure. So far it's been great. So,
Yeah,
well, that's where we'll end it. We had a really fun discussion about Creature Commandos. We'll talk more about other stuff, Peacemaker, Superman, whatever else is on the way. We'll have more Marvel discussions over at Hip Pause MCU, and by the time this is probably uploaded, we might have a new gaming podcast out if you want to hear artists. I can't even remember what we talked about, to be honest. Talking about so many things. But you can hear that conversation on this channel. If you want to see more of this, let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe, turn on notifications so when a new episode of this podcast is out, you know. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon for another one.